Good morning. My name is Anna Proctor, and I am a sixth grade English teacher at Bouchon Middle School. Earlier in the week, on Monday and Tuesday, we talked about how to make an inference. Pause this video for a second and think to yourself if you can remember how you make an inference. Okay, so hopefully you were able to remember from our video yesterday that using your prior knowledge, or what you already know, your background knowledge, plus your clues from the text, also known as text evidence, then you can make an inference. The definition for making an inference, if you go back to the video from yesterday, is hold on one second, I'm going to pause it right here. An inference is an educated guess we make from evidence in front of us while accessing prior knowledge. So you need both your text evidence and your background knowledge, also known as your prior knowledge, to make an inference. So now there's a link to an article that you should have, and it's called Not So Looney Tunes on ReadWorks. So what we're going to be doing is looking at this article today. So if you can please go ahead and pause the video, go to the link for Not So Looney Tunes, and we are going to look at the title, make a prediction, and start reading the article. This is a nonfiction article, which means that it is factual. The things in it can be proven. It is not made up. It is not fiction. It is nonfiction. So the title is Not So Looney Tunes. So we make a quick prediction about what this is going to be about. So based on the title Not So Looney Tunes, I think this is going to have to do with the cartoon, the Looney Tunes, which I love, Bugs Bunny and all of the other characters that were created in the 1950s. And it's talking about it not being as loony as we think. So we're going to find out what this is going to be about. But my prediction is it's going to have to do with cartoons, either Looney Tunes or other cartoons. And this might be correct or it might be wrong, but we're going to find out as we read today. The second thing I have my students do is I want you to number your paragraphs. I know you can't necessarily do that on your screen, but what you can do is print out the article to number the paragraphs. This will be important because we're going to have to read this article more than one time in order to determine what the answers to our Making Inferences questions are. So this is paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3, paragraph 4, paragraph 5, paragraph 6, paragraph 7, paragraph 8, paragraph 9, paragraph 10, paragraph 11, paragraph 12, paragraph 13, 14, and 15. So now that we have made a prediction and we have numbered our paragraphs, let's look at the fact that we have some subheadings here. So this is our introduction section with the first 3 paragraphs. It's going to be introducing our nonfiction article. This is our subheading. These 3 paragraphs have to do with symbolism. The next subheading, these paragraphs are going to have to do with exaggeration. The next subheading, these are going to have to do with humor. These 3 paragraphs. And the last section is called Caricature, and those 3 paragraphs are going to have to do with caricatures. So we're going to start to read this, and if you could read this silently while I read it aloud. Then we're going to go to the questions, look at the answer choices, reread to be able to get the text evidence to make our inference. And we're looking at our inference questions specifically. Okay, what is your favorite newspaper cartoon? Peanuts, Garfield, Dilbert? Although those cartoons might make you laugh, another kind of cartoon will make you laugh and think. It's called an editorial cartoon. Artists draw editorial cartoons to express their opinions about subjects in the news, such as elections or the war in Afghanistan. Cartoonists use a number of techniques, including symbolism, exaggeration, humor, and caricature. That's how you pronounce it, caricature, to comment on news events. Okay, we're going to go to the section called Symbolism. On June 30th, 2004, more than 1 year after the U.S.-led invasion of Iraq, the United States transferred power in the war-torn country to a new Iraqi government. In one cartoon, artist Mike Thompson marked the moment by drawing a bald eagle tossing an unhatched egg marked New Iraqi Government from a nest high on top of a cliff. Fly, the eagle yells as it tosses the egg into the air. A symbol is something that stands for something else. So this is important. A symbol's effectiveness depends on whether the audience understands what the symbol depicts. What do you think the bald eagle symbolizes? Why did Thompson use an egg for the new Iraqi government? What do you think Thompson is saying about the transfer of power to the new Iraqi government? Let's go back and read that first paragraph again, reread it. On June 30, 2004, more than 1 year after the U.S.-led invasion of Iraq, the United States transferred power in the war-torn country to a new Iraqi government. In one cartoon, artist Mike Thompson marked the moment by drawing a bald eagle tossing. Bald eagle is a symbol of the United States. Tossing an unhatched egg, marked new Iraqi government from a nest high on top of a cliff. Fly, the eagle yells as it tosses the egg into the air. An egg cannot fly. It would break it once it hit the ground. So we need to think about what that might mean. Exaggeration. Cartoonists distort the characters in their cartoons. Such distortion is called exaggeration. In one cartoon, artist Gary Markstein uses exaggeration to illustrate the problem of illegal steroid use in sports. Steroids are drugs that help athletes become stronger and more muscular. At first glance, it seems as though a muscular baseball player is walking towards the dugout, but that's not the case. To get off the ground, potentially, before the election, before this election that was in the past, President George Bush Jr. Caricature. Political cartoonists use a special form of exaggeration called caricature to distort the subject of a cartoon. An artist will often center on a person's looks, behavior, or dress in drawing a caricature. In one cartoon, artist Michael Ramirez draws two huge faces of former President Bill Clinton and his wife, former New York Senator Hillary Clinton. Both gave rousing speeches at the Democratic National Convention of 2004. The Clintons looked down at a small John Kerry, the 2004 Democratic presidential nominee, and Aide says to Kerry, "Don't worry about the Clintons overshadowing you." Why did Ramirez make the Clintons so big? Because they were possibly overshadowing him. Why did he draw Kerry so small? Think about it. What might be the cartoonist's view of the Democratic convention? So now we're going to get to our questions. We're going to look at the inference questions. And what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to look at the inference questions, and we're going to have to go back and reread to try to figure out to get text evidence in order to make an inference, along with using our background knowledge. Number one, the eagle and egg cartoon is even more appropriate now, and right now it's 2020, but this was in 2008, several years later, because A, the egg will never be able to fly, B, the eagle is a U.S. symbol, C, the Iraqi government still has not hatched, or D, none of the above. Now, you have to have some background knowledge that the Iraqi government is still unstable currently. So let's go back to the passage to see if we can get some clues from the text. Okay, under symbolism, this is paragraph number 1, 2, 3, 4. On June 30th, 2004, more than 1 year after the U.S.-led invasion, that means they went in to Iraq and took over, the United States transferred power in the war-torn countries, gave power to a new Iraqi government. In one cartoon, artist Mike Thompson marked the moment by drawing a bald eagle tossing, which is representing probably the United States, because the bald eagle is a symbol for the United States of America, tossing an unhatched egg marked new Iraqi government from a nest high on top of a cliff. Fly, the eagle yells as it tosses the egg into the air. Now, can the egg actually fly? No. A baby bird, even coming right out of the egg, wouldn't be able to fly. They would have to learn that skill. A symbol is something that stands for something else. A symbol's effectiveness, whether or not it is able to be useful and people understand it, depends on whether the audience understands what the symbol depicts. What and depicts means what the symbol shows, or what the symbol represents is better. What do you think the bald eagle symbolizes or represents? Why did Thompson use an egg for the new Iraqi government? What do you think Thompson is saying about the transfer of power to the new Iraqi government? So let's go back to our question. The eagle in the egg cartoon is even more appropriate now, 2008, several years later, because the egg will never be able to fly. We're thinking about what the egg symbolizes, okay? The eagle is a U.S. symbol. The Iraqi government still has not hatched, or none of the above. So the egg will never be able to fly is a literal interpretation, and it's also, so we're going to take that out. We can slash our trash. B, the eagle is a U.S. symbol. We already know that, and that's not more true back when this was written than it is now. The Iraqi government still has not hatched or grown into a full stable government. That's our best choice. That's answer C. So we pick answer C based on the text evidence. The Bat Boys' big muscles suggest that, for number 2, A, steroid use is so common that even the Bat Boy uses them. B, team helpers should be made fun of just like the players. Well, that's not nice. C, Bat Boys shouldn't be so ambitious. Or D, using steroids is not a problem. So we've already read, if we go back and reread, it does talk about steroid use being a problem in sports and him talking about that, or him creating this cartoon to address it. So we know it's not D. We can go ahead and slash that trash. Okay, so we are either choosing between A, steroid use is so common that even the Bat Boy uses them. B, team helpers should be made fun of just like the players. Or C, Bat Boys shouldn't be so ambitious. So let's go back, and we're going to need to reread to find our text evidence to make our inference. So let's look for the paragraph that talks about Bat Boy. So if you look under the subheading exaggeration, it says, cartoonists distort the characters in their cartoons. Such distortion is called exaggeration. And one cartoon artist, Gary Markstein, uses exaggeration to illustrate the problem of illegal steroid use. It's not legal, it's not allowed in sports. Steroids are drugs that help athletes become stronger and more muscular, and they are not allowed in sports. At first glance, it seems as though a muscular baseball player is walking towards a dugout. But that's not the case. It's actually a bat boy. And bat boys are just you have to have background knowledge that a bat boy is bringing the bat to the batter, okay, to the baseball player. So the bat boy shouldn't be strong and muscular. So we could probably make an educated guess based on what we already know, our text evidence plus what we already know, our prior knowledge. The bat boy might be using steroids. What point is Markstein trying to make, and was he effective? The bat boy is using steroids because the baseball players are using steroids. He is not a baseball player, but yet he's using steroids, which means that steroid use is overwhelming at this point, or at the point that he was writing this. Okay, what point is Markstein trying to make, and was he effective? Yes, if you understood it, he was effective. And the point that he was probably trying to make is that steroids are used too much in baseball. So now we're going back to our questions. The Bat Boy's big muscles suggest that A, steroid use is so common that even the Bat Boy uses them. Team players should be made fun of just like the players. B is not correct. That we can slash that trash. That has nothing to do with what we just read. Bat boys shouldn't be so ambitious, which means shouldn't be trying to be baseball players. We don't have any proof to back that up, and it doesn't go with our background knowledge or prior knowledge. And using steroids is not a problem. Well, he was trying to address the fact that using steroids is a problem. It's not good for you, and it's illegal, and it definitely shouldn't be used in baseball. So that leaves us with one answer choice left, which is A. Steroid use is so common. Steroid use is so common that even the bat boy uses them. So now we're going to go to 3 and 4. What I need you to do for 3, 4, and 5 is I need you to read the questions, go back, read the questions, read the answer choices, go back and reread the text to find your text evidence and use your prior knowledge to make an inference to pick the best answer. Pause the video to do this, please. Now that you've done that, we're going to look at what the answers that you should have gotten after doing this. When Bush desperately hoped the plan would lift off, it meant that he hoped the economy would become a problem that people ignored, improve, cause prices to increase, all of the above. So let's go ahead and go back to that paragraph to find the answer to see if you got the correct text evidence. This is at the beginning of the article. So you're going to go skim from the beginning until you find where it talks about George Bush and the government. All right, symbolism. On June 30, 2004, more than 1 year after the U.S.-led invasion of Iraq, the United States transferred power in the war-torn country to a new Iraqi government. And one cartoon artist, Mike Thompson, marked the moment by drawing a bald eagle tossing an unhatched egg marked new Iraqi government. So this actually is during Bush's time, but this does not have to do with George Bush. So then we go down. This second section doesn't talk about George Bush. Now the humor section. We do talk about George Bush here. By being funny, a cartoonist can draw lighthearted attention to a serious problem. In 2004, the economy went up and down, although President George W. Bush said that things were improving. In one cartoon, artist Marshall Ramsey drew the president taxiing an airplane toward trees labeled Election Day. The plane represented the economy. As the plane bounced to the end of the runway, a worried Bush was thinking, "Come on, lift off." Do you think the artist believed the economy would get off the ground before the election? Why or why not? And we had already talked about that a little bit. So let's go ahead and go back to the question. When Bush desperately hoped the plane would lift off, it meant he hoped the economy, which is represented by the airplane, would A, become a problem that people ignored. That's probably not correct based on our background knowledge and our text evidence that we just read. He hoped the economy would improve. That seems possible. Cause prices to increase. He probably doesn't want things to go up in price because people couldn't afford it. All of the above. So when Bush desperately hoped the plane would lift off, it meant he hoped the economy would. Our best answer choice would be B, improve, based on our text evidence. Number 4, you can guess from the Clinton-Kerry cartoon that at the time of the 2004 convention, A, Kerry was a lot shorter than he is now. B, the Clintons' fame took attention away from Kerry. C, Bill Clinton wanted to be president again. D, everyone thought Kerry would become president. All right, so we're going to go back to the paragraph that mentions John Kerry and the Clintons. Back to the passage. Caricature, this section. Political cartoonists use a special form of exaggeration called caricature to distort the subject of a cartoon. An artist will often center on a person's looks, behavior, or dress in drawing a caricature. In one cartoon, artist Michael Ramirez draws 2 huge faces of former President Bill Clinton and his wife, former New York Senator Hillary Clinton. Both gave rousing speeches at the Democratic National Convention of 2004. The Clintons looked down at a small John Kerry, the 2004 Democratic presidential nominee. An aide says to Kerry, "Don't worry about the Clintons overshadowing you." Why did Ramirez make the Clintons so big? Why did he draw Kerry so small? What might the cartoonist view of the Democrat? What might be the Democrat? What might be the cartoonist's view of the Democratic convention? So it would appear that he thinks that the Clintons are going to overshadow John Kerry because he drew the Clintons very large and Kerry very small during the Democratic convention, and that they weren't letting him potentially have the spotlight. So let's look at this question and the answer choices. You can guess, make an educated guess using clues from the text plus what you already know, your text evidence plus your prior knowledge or background knowledge, same thing, from the Clinton-Kerry cartoon that at the time of the 2004 Democratic Convention, A, Kerry was a lot shorter than he is now. We don't know that, so we can slash that trash. B, the Clintons' fame took attention away from Kerry. That's a definite strong possibility. C, Bill Clinton wanted to be president again. We don't know if that's true or not. That's kind of an opinion. D, everyone thought Kerry would become president. We don't know if that's true either based on that cartoon or the information we have. So the best answer choice here, hopefully, that you picked was B. The Clintons' fame took attention away from Kerry. 5, using exaggeration, create a caricature of a school bully. So you would just draw a hopefully you drew a caricature of a school bully, like how someone would bully someone else. If you did not do that, that is okay. But how you would do that is you would exaggerate. You would use these different, you would use exaggeration, okay, cartoon distortion to make the things that make someone a school bully larger in that cartoon. So hopefully you answered questions 1 through 4, and you can work on your caricature cartoon if you did not do number 5, so that you have experience with drawing a caricature. So with all of that, we are going to go ahead and I'm going to have you look at the link for tonight's practice or today's practice. What you're going to need to do for practice is you're going to be looking at the Great Idea, which is a fiction short story with questions on making inferences and supporting them with multiple pieces of text evidence. So it's a Google Doc, and it's a fiction short story. And what you're going to need to do is underline the title, make a prediction, then you're going to number your paragraphs. You can print this out to do this, or you can try to number them after you download it. Okay, it's called the Great Idea. And then you have questions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, that you need to complete. These have to do with making an inference. Take your time, and you're going to need to read the text more than once. Thank you very much, and have an absolutely wonderful day.